Hello and good day, welcome to our YouTube channel, God's Promises. And today's video will be a fast, concise overview. Book of Leviticus, chapter 10. Let's get started now. I want you to provide factual, concise 2,000 words with a detailed lesson and teaching application of the complete story. Book of Leviticus, chapter 10. From the Bible. The Book of Leviticus, chapter 10, tells the story of Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, who offered unauthorized fire before the Lord and were consumed by fire from the Lord. This story provides several lessons and teachings about reverence, obedience, and the consequences of disobedience. The chapter begins with Aaron and his sons being consecrated as priests and offering sacrifices on the altar. Afterward, Nadab and Abihu offered strange fire before the Lord, which he had not commanded them to do. As a result, fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed them, leaving only their garments behind. The first lesson that can be gleaned from this story is the importance of reverence and obedience in our relationship with God. Nadab and Abihu were priests and knew the proper way to approach God, but they chose to disobey and offer unauthorized fire. This act of disobedience was a grave offense before the Lord, and they paid the ultimate price for their disobedience. Similarly, as believers, we must approach God with reverence and obey His commands. This means following His word and living a life that is pleasing to Him. We must be careful not to take our relationship with God for granted, and we must always seek to honor and obey Him in all that we do. Another lesson that can be learned from this story is the importance of following God's commands and not adding or taking away from them. Nadab and Abihu's actions were not only disobedient, but they also went beyond what God had commanded them to do. This is a reminder to us that we must follow God's commands as they are written, without adding or taking away from them. In our modern world, we may be tempted to twist or manipulate God's commands to fit our own desires or beliefs. However, this story shows that such actions are not acceptable before the Lord and may have serious consequences. Additionally, the story of Nadab and Abihu teaches us about the consequences of disobedience. The Lord's response to their disobedience was swift and severe, as they were consumed by fire from the Lord. This is a reminder to us that there are consequences for our actions, and we must be careful not to disobey God's commands. While we may not face physical death as a consequence of our disobedience can have serious spiritual consequences, such as damaging our relationship with God and hindering our spiritual growth. Therefore, we must be careful to obey God's commands and seek His forgiveness when we fall short. Lastly, the story of Nadab and Abihu highlights the importance of respecting God's holiness and power. Nadab and Abihu underestimated God's power and did not show proper reverence for Him. This was a grave mistake, as it led to their destruction. As believers, we must always remember that God is holy and powerful, and we must approach Him with the proper reverence and respect. We must not take Him for granted or underestimate His power, but rather, we must seek to honor and glorify Him in all that we do. In conclusion, the story of Nadab and Abihu in the Book of Leviticus, chapter 10, provides important lessons and teachings about reverence, obedience, and the consequences of disobedience. We must approach God with reverence and obedience, follow His commands without adding or taking away from them, and respect His holiness and power. May we always seek to honor and obey God in all that we do. Thank you for visiting us today. Please share with us your favorite Bible chapter below in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help our channel grow. Looking forward to see you back here for our next video. Always take good care.